All right, I'm live. If you guys are watching this live, you could actually go to the Google Plus Hangout and actually ask me questions, and they'll appear. So you could ask me any kind of questions that you want. I'm gonna try to make this video not necessarily super quick. I'm not gonna go in a rush, but I really don't want to go longer than an hour or so. Um, but let me get this settled. Everybody can hear me good? All right. Yeah, as you can see by the title, I am actually doing a 19 random facts about me video. I was actually inspired by my buddy Luke Ryan, Razor Hour Reviews. He did this video, and he actually told me about a week ago he was going to do it. I said, well, if you do it, I'll do one. And he did it, and he posted it, and I watched it on my lunch break today at work, and I was heavily inspired to do the same thing, so I wanted to do it as soon as I got off work. This is day 6 of a 10-hour work day. This is day 6, so I've worked 60 hours since Monday, and I have 2 more days left. But I got taking like a week and a half off for vacation in about a week and a half too, so it's all going to work out for me. So yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and get started with my 19 random facts or things you may not know about me, which I'm pretty sure you don't know a lot of this about me. Um, some are going to be simple, like little easy things, and others are going to be um, slightly personal, but that's okay. These videos always tend to get a little bit personal, and that's perfectly fine with me. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. Fact 1. My favorite film is The Godfather, and it's been since elementary school. That's not any news to anybody who actually faithfully watches my channel or watches my videos or anything like that. But it's been my favorite film forever. And number 2, my favorite book is The Count of Monte Cristo. I read the unabridged version about 5 years ago, and I read it in about 2.5 days. And any of you who have actually read the book too, you know that it is well over 1,000 pages long, and it's just a brilliant, brilliant book. Such a masterpiece. You know, story about revenge when you've been done wrong, and it's like it's an epic revenge story, and it is very good. It is amazing. I love the County Monte Cristo film, with Jim Caviezel and Guy Pearce. I really love that film. It really captures the spirit of the book. It omits a lot of stuff because the movie would have to be like, I'd say 20 hours, 50 hours for it to actually be faithful. But the movie came really close to the feel of it, and it was really good, and I love it. And I've seen so many other different versions too, mini-series length versions, foreign versions, and I just love the book, and I plan on reading it again by the end of this year. It's just a masterpiece of a book, and it is a page turner. I mean, I love it. Um, let's see. Um, Number 3, my favorite band. My favorite band is Green Day. My favorite band has been Green Day, probably since 1994. I was, let's see, 6 years old. I have a brother who's 18 years older than me, and when Green Day's album Dookie came out, I think it was like 94, he bought it, and I remember being with him the day that he bought it, and I was hooked. As a kid, because of him, I listened to the Beatles' White Album. I listened to, Led Zeppelin, Metallica, AC/DC, Green Day, Nirvana, all that stuff when I was 6 years old, when I had a lot of friends that were listening to all the, silly songs at the time. And so, and when I got older, um, hello, Luke. Luke, my buddy Luke's in the comment section, or in the question section. Hello. Um, yeah, so they've been my favorite band since I'd say '94. And when Green Day Insomniac came out, which was the album after that, after Insomniac, starting with that, I have bought every Green Day album the day of its release since then. Um, so not only is that like really personal for me because of my older brother introducing me to it, and stuff like that. They've been my favorite. I've listened to I on my way home from work tonight blasting um, Green Day like I always do. Second favorite band I would say is Blink 182. Not a lot of people like the pop punk type, but when What's My Age Again, not What's My Age Again, when Dude Ranch came out, the album before that had Damn It on it, my older brother bought it, and I was, obsessed with that album. And that actually started me getting into playing bass. And I was playing everything Mark Hoppus played. And I actually eventually started a band with a friend that I'll talk about later. And we played shows, and we basically were a Blink 182 cover band. And I've just followed them since then. I saw Green Day and Blink 182 live back, years back when they did the Pop Disaster tour, and it was amazing. And I still listen to them to this day as well, mainly to Tom DeLonge's newer band, Angels and Airwaves, which is kind of like a electronic type rock opera type stuff. Really, really awesome music. And Metallica would be my third favorite band. And I've seen all those bands live, front row, floor seat type things. I have guitar picks that Kirk Hammett handed me on the stage. When I went and saw Metallica, and I would say Luke asked me my opinions on Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is an amazing band. The way I got introduced to them was my sister's former husband worked at a car lot, and he used to repo cars if people didn't pay the payment. And it's probably like early middle school because I listened to some Pink Floyd, from my older brother, but he repoed a car, my brother-in-law at the time, and it had this huge um, folder of CDs in it, and it had all the Pink Floyd CDs at the time. It was pretty amazing. I mean, it was a lot of CDs, and it had AC/DC, all the Zeppelin albums, everything I listened to, it was in there. And I started listening to the Pink Floyd albums, and The Wall, in my opinion, is just a masterpiece. I love the film, and it's just brilliant. But I think my all-time favorite song by Pink Floyd, and is actually one of my top 5 favorite songs, is "Wish You Were Here." Um, People might say it's overrated. I don't really care. It's such a powerful song, simple, powerful, and I actually learned how to play it on bass, and me and some friends actually used to play it, just jamming out. And so I love Pink Floyd. And if I'm in a chill mode, like just a mode where I'm just chilling and I'm just in that mood, um, I'll just pop in that album. I'll pop in The Wall. I just love Pink Floyd. They're such a great band. Um, so I hope that answers your question, Luke. Um, my favorite TV show, um, it's really tied with two. One is Seinfeld, which I'm obsessed with. I own every season. I have multiple T-shirts of Seinfeld. I have Seinfeld Seen It, Seinfeld Monopoly. It's just I've watched an episode or two every single day since I was younger. My parents started watching it in 1989, starting with the pilot episode. So my earliest memories actually are of watching Seinfeld. One of my earliest memories is actually watching the Seinfeld parking garage episode on you know, when that was brand new, and that was in season 3. And so that was probably like 1991. That's one of my earliest memories. And so it's been a huge part of my life. And I watch Seinfeld every day. When I'm done with this video, I'm going downstairs and popping in a Seinfeld CD. So, um, and then my other number one favorite show is The Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason. My dad watched them growing up, and I always watched them with him. I laughed out loud. I own every single one of them on DVD. I have the complete series set, which is, it was only on for like 39 episodes before he took it off air as a actual sitcom format, like a 30-minute format, whereas before it was on, his variety show and stuff. And then I have the complete set of all the lost episodes, which is actually everything from the first Honeymooners variety show skit all the way through, you know, the pinnacle time of the honeymooners. The only ones I don't have are the colored ones that are like, honeymooners Christmas, like into the 70s and stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but I'm just the 50s and early 60s. I'm a huge, huge honeymooners fan, and just amazing, amazing show, and it's just another staple of my childhood. So, so that's kind of it for some of those favorite kind of questions. Now we're getting into the more personal questions, which I've made videos like, talking about personal stuff before, but I'm trying to maybe just tell people things that not everybody knows. I'm always drinking something, so especially water, which I will talk about later. Um, Number 5 is I have OCD. I've had actual clinical diagnosed OCD since I was younger due to certain situations that, my parents getting divorced. Um, when I was younger, when I was 8 years old, my dad had a heart attack, and I was the only one home, and I had to call like 911 and all that stuff, and he was basically dead. And I remember when they told us that he was dead, he came back. Long story short, um, between that and my family's divorce, I think it just messed with my mind as a little kid a lot, and I thought I think I blamed myself for a lot of it, and so I started doing things like that was very um, I'm trying to think. What was the show tied with Seinfeld? It was The Honeymooners. Yes. Um, so I think I blamed myself a lot, and so I started doing a lot of really interesting things I didn't realize I was doing. Like I started feeling weird if I was feeling uncomfortable, I'd want to clean myself and or do some form of cleaning, hand washing, and at the peak of its time, I was had blistered hands all the time. I used to have to wear gloves sometimes, and through therapy and stuff like that, I was able to get it taken care of. And to this day, I pretty much have it taken care of. But when I get stressed out, I don't do any hand washing, rituals type stuff anymore. When I get stressed out, I you know, get in these weird funk modes, and there are times where I'm, rearranging my movie collection. Um, Whenever I'm stressed out, I cannot calm down unless I take a shower because I feel dirty. Usually, I take multiple showers a day because of that, and if that's what helps me, after everything I've gone through with, the blistering hands and all the stuff, I still double check my locks in my house constantly, flick the lights on and off. I'm better with that, but through therapy and stuff, and coming to the conclusion that none of that stuff was my fault when I was a kid. Over time, over the last 15 years, I've come a long way to where the only thing that actually bugs me when I get irritated with sinuses and stuff, and I just start feeling dirty. When I get stressed out, I feel dirty, and that's the only thing that helps is taking a shower. And so there's days where I take 5 showers, whether it's just me washing my hair or whatever, just to get that sensation of cleanliness. And thankfully, I have not had any blistering issues, hand washing issues. I would say probably about 5 years or so, and it's just been getting better day by day by day. It's been getting better. So hopefully, within the next 5 or 6 years, I should have it completely beat, and there's no issues with it at all. I'm very optimistic about that now, and I've been able to help people through it. I used to get offended a lot when people would joke around about, "Oh man, I have OCD. I like doing this." Well, um, there's actually like a difference between that kind of stuff. A lot of people confuse OCD with obsessive personality disorder, which has a lot to do with that kind of stuff too, where you like things a certain way. When OCD is when you have the compulsions and your obsessive thoughts that keep you doing it. My obsessive thoughts were, I was causing this, it's my fault, I'm dirty, that kind of thing. It's a ceremonial thing, and that's where it started with me. And yeah, so that's that one. Number 6, my best friends. Um, Growing up and then through high school, I always hung out with everybody. I was one of the, guys that hung out with every single person. I got along with everybody. I didn't ever hate anybody. The only fights I ever got into was when I was, standing up for people, that kind of thing. And so I used to always have a big group around me. Now, no. I could call a bunch of people that would have my back if I was going through a tough situation, but now I pretty much stay close knit with family and just a couple friends. And really, I just have one best friend now, which I'm fine with. But my friend Toby, that I was friends with, or I'm still friends with him, but we were pretty much inseparable from sixth grade up until middle high school. And we had a band together. I spent the night at his house pretty much every weekend. We hung out constantly. We had a band. We every time we dated a girl, we always dated friends of each other. So we like that kind of thing where I would date a girl, then he would date her friend, and that kind of. We went through hell together as friends too. And we still, when we connect, when we talk on the phone, when we hang out, which is probably once every 6 months now because of his job, and he's very successful in what he does, and he lives in like the Bahamas and here and stuff. He's very successful in what he does, and so I probably only see him like once every 6 months. When we're together, it's like nothing ever skipped a beat. Nothing. It's we could go years without seeing each other, and yet when we see each other, it won't be awkward, and it's just awesome. So, but we're not really best friends anymore. We haven't really been best friends in high school. He's just been a close friend of mine for a very long time. Um, Fast forward to high school when I started working at a place in my city I worked at for 8 years, and I actually still worked there when I started my YouTube channel. Um, I met my friend Logan, who ended up being my best man at my wedding. Me and him were very close for a long time, and really just because of life and meeting different people, we've kind of went like this. We actually work together. Um, like I'm in management somewhere. I really don't want to say where I work and all that kind of stuff on YouTube, but we're in management together at a place, so we work together every single day. But we've kind of went like this and are on different paths, and we're not close. We're pretty much not really close at all, other than the fact of being just regular friends now. And so, it took me a long time to get over that, but I came to accept it because that's what happens with life sometimes. Um, but I would say when I started my YouTube channel, I was really a loner. I had just gotten married, and I was really close with my family. But when it came to friends, I didn't really have anybody that I was, close to. My friend Logan and me were starting to, go our separate ways, and even though we still talk, um, we laugh all the time, we text each other, but the closeness isn't there like it used to be. But that's life, and so um, I've actually connected with a lot of guys on YouTube. I was really close with Razman's Reality. He was on YouTube. I think he's taking a break from it now. Me and him were good friends. Um, we were friends for a long time, and we don't talk anymore, but we were friends for a long time. And let me think. Um, and there's been countless other people, but Robbie Webster, I'm pretty close to him too. We always stay in contact, and I plan on visiting him hopefully by the end of this year. But really, I'm not trying to. I don't think there's anything weird with me thinking this, but I would say my buddy Luke Ryan. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't think I've even said it to him. I consider him my best friend now. Me and him have been really close friends for a couple years now, talking to each other every day. Um, I've kind of every issue I've ever gone through in life, he's been my support, and giving me advice on a daily basis. This is a daily basis that we talk. And really, me and Robbie have always been close too. And over the last year, me and Robbie have had that same kind of relationship. But me and Luke's is, a little bit stronger in that we talk all the time. And it was so great when he came and visited from Norway with his fiance Connie, and it was a bummer. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was like depressed for a couple of days after he left because I was like, man, like this is like my best friend, but like it's not like I could go across the street and hang out with him or whatever. Like he lives in a different country over the Atlantic Ocean. But thankfully to the internet and to, you know, all this stuff, we could still have that same kind of friendship that we would have if we did live, down the street from each other. And that's awesome. So Luke, I know you're watching. Yes, I consider you my best friend. So um, yeah, Ryan considers an internet friend is, but screw all that. I don't even listen to all that, because I talk to Luke and Robbie more than I talk to even anybody else other than my wife. And ultimately, my wife is my best friend. We were best friends for about 2 years before we even started dating. We were best friends. I was dating other girls too, and so like yeah, um, that's always a fun thing to think about, like, or a funny thing to think about because of all the stupid stuff I did in high school. And she's like, "Remember when you did this and that and that, and you're always upset about this, doing this to this girl, you know, standing her up or whatever like that." I mean, just that kind of stuff. And and then we and her ended up, starting to date, and we got married. So ultimately, she's my best friend. But when it comes to somebody else, it's definitely Luke, and I'm pretty sure it'll probably be like that for a long time because we always talk and we're friends and we connect on so many different levels. So yeah, so that's best friend category. Number 7. This is when some of these facts actually start going into uh, dang, I did this. Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, I used to be, because I was very unhappy when I was younger because of stuff that had gone on um, within my family, within my life. I was very unhappy, and I first got drunk for the first time when I was 12 years old. I was in sixth grade. Um, I also got high for the first time in sixth grade. I was 12. It was at the same exact party. Um, just in case some of these people are watching, I don't want to like give any more information, but it was because of people I knew that were older, friends of friends, brothers or sisters of friends, and I just got, sucked into it. And we used to take um, one of my best friends I've kind of already mentioned, but I'm not going to say his name just right now, just to confirm that. But we used to take his parents' alcohol, and pretty much every weekend in middle school and up until, a couple years into high school, we got drunk. And when I got into high school, I started um, the drug stuff. I mean, probably eighth grade is when I started like smoking pot and stuff like that. And I realized when I was um, junior, I was probably a sophomore in high school, so I was in 10th grade when I finally had that ultimate like revelation to where my life was not going in the right direction. My grades are starting to go down, and I remember, I was dating a girl at the time, and I was just, smoking cigarettes, smoking pot, drinking pills, whatever I could get my hands on at the time. And I started dating a girl, and she went to church, and I was like, no, I don't really do the church thing. I mean, I grew up going to church, and I ended up going to church, and just, a lot of people don't like to hear that kind of stuff anymore. I am a Christian, and I'm very strong in my faith, and that's what changed me. And I remember I was driving down the street, and I said, I'm not going to buy any more pot. It was in 2003 when I stopped smoking pot. I threw it out the window. I don't take any kind of pain medication anymore because I don't want to go down that road. Um, I was driving down the road one day, and I had a pack of cigarettes, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to die. I don't want to have cancer, because I knew people that had lung cancer, and it just scared me. And I was up to like a pack a day. Um, I tossed him out the window. Ryan, you littered. Okay, it was for a good cause. I'm here. And so it's been over 10 years since I came to that. I really came to that choice to stop. And I've been clean for that long. And I was able to graduate high school with a pretty good grade point average, get into college and all that stuff. I completely changed my life. Completely changed my life. And I'm very proud of that. Not a lot of people do that. I knew people in school that did not get out of that funk. And so I've been clean since then. And, you know, I haven't had any hard liquor since then. I have a beer every once in a while because I like beer, but usually I have like stouts or like home brews because I have a family member who brews his own stuff, and it's not an excess at all. Um, and other than that, I'm completely clean, and I'm so proud of it. I have no urge to have any of that stuff again. Um, and I've actually helped people that were my age get through the stuff too. So, yeah, so 12 years old was a big year for me. um, I reached for the sky because I float. Never mind, that was gonna be a stupid joke. Um, Number 9, around that same time that you know my life started to just get really bad right before it changed. I ran away from home. Me and my dad had a disagreement. He took my car keys and he's like, "You're not getting the car if you're going to be this angry. I don't want you driving. I don't want you getting in an accident." I was definitely under the influence at the time, and he did not know. So I told him what to do with himself. Bye. I'm never going to be here again. And I ran away, and I was gone for a week. I stayed at a friend's house. Um, and me and my dad, we were close for a long time, but we didn't really see eye to eye. So like, it was one of those things where he didn't really care, or he cared, but he didn't really seek me out, even though I ran away. And so, I was able to get away. I mean, it took me 3 days for the person that I stayed with, their parents actually, called my dad to tell them about, um, you know, let me see. There wasn't actually a reason. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but let's just say that it took a friend's mom to tell him where I was, and he secretly knew where I was, but he just let me cool down. And it was a rough time. And it was after that I got in trouble with a couple other things law wise, and I was just like, I'm tired of going down this road. I'm not gonna do this, and I just quit the drugs, the heavy drinking, the smoking, all that stuff. I quit it all, and I was a sophomore in high school, and I thought everybody was going to hate me for that, a lot of my friends, but they actually commended me for it, and they were very happy to, see that I got through it. Um, let's see. Shakespeare asked me, was there a movie that changed my life? Um, Let me see. I will answer that later. I will actually talk about it later. So hold on to that question. Um, oh wow, I already used. Okay, 9. I ran away. Okay, 10. When I was in elementary school, my family went up to the mountains, and it was in the Blue Ridge, and I actually got lost for a night. I mean, it was like 12 hours. What happened was I was skateboarding down a mountain, and our cabin was at the top, and it was me and my stepbrother, and we were skateboarding down the mountain. We're like, hey, let's go back up so we can go eat some dinner or whatever. Um, I was like, man, I'm gonna try to beat him up there. I was like, go up the road, which went like this around the mountain, and I was like, I'm just gonna go straight up through the woods and keep crossing the road, crossing the road, crossing the road, and just go straight up. Well, say this is my phone. Say my phone is the mountain. The road went. I guess I was down at the bottom and I went like this, right over that. and I just went into the wilderness, and I was freaked out. Um, you know, it was an extremely scary experience because I did not know where I was. It was getting dark. Thankfully, I was in Boy Scouts, and I had just finished the summer before wilderness survival training, where I had to go into the woods, and me and some friends had to do shelter, survive for a few days with nothing except what was it? I think it was rope and a first aid kit because of our age, and about 300 yards away was where all the adults and stuff were, so we had constant surveillance. I think there was cameras in the trees, but we had to, it was about four of us. We had to train to do this. Um, oh, Luke, just asked a really funny question. Um, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna answer. I don't think I'm gonna answer that. The answer to your question is no. I don't have really any interest to, Luke. um, okay, so I was lost and I did not know what to do. And I did because at this, I started panicking and I was like, man, what the heck am I going to do? I'm lost in the woods. I found a creek and I pretty much sat there for a very long time and in the dark, and the coyotes started going off, and I was just freaked out. I look back now and I knew I was actually in a state of shock. And I knew to drink the water. I didn't eat any of the plants, any of that kind of stuff, because I was starving. I waited all day to eat, and so I needed something. I didn't eat any of the plants because they always say, like, unless you know exactly what plants you're eating, don't touch them because you could get poisoned. So I just concentrated on insects. So I thought I was gonna be out there forever. So I just ate a bunch of insects. Um, Sounds gross, but I was in shock, so I didn't really care. I just saw water, and I knew I needed the protein. And gosh, it was so scary, and it was a long time I was there. And finally, I was just like, screaming. My voice was gone by that point. And hours later, overnight, I turned around, and I was like, I just got to turn around and see if I could lead somewhere. And thankfully, it was fall because I was actually able to use I was able to use my eyes and see where there was broken leaves and all that stuff, and I just kind of walked backwards, and I ended up actually um, back on the road, not the road that I started, or the road I started on, but not at the same place. And I went up, and my family was worried, of course, and they were searching everywhere for me. And let's just say it was a very awakening experience. When I went back to, and this is actually leading into my next fact. I went back to school and I told everybody about it, and they were like, um, "Man, that is such an awesome story." I was like a cool kid, and I was like really excited, and I was like, getting kind of popular, I guess you could say, because of it. And this leads me to my next fact, which is about 2 weeks after I got back, and I was a cool kid. I fell into an oyster bed, a full-on oyster bed, which is basically razor blades, and I had scars all over my body, and I had to wear basically a top body cast from my waist up, like this. So try showing up to school in a body cast after you're the cool kid. You go from being the cool kid to the guy that everybody makes fun of. Oh. Yeah, so that was my number 11, is that I fell into an oyster bed and destroyed my entire body, pretty much. All my scars are away now through years of surfing and being tan for all those years and sunburns and just over time. I only have one scar, and it's right there on my arm, right there. And actually, that's because that part got infected and they had to yank a muscle, like a part of a fat muscle out. It was disgusting. I do remember when I was getting all my shots and stuff for it, I was on so much medication, and I told my dad, and I was like, "Dad, the needle doesn't feel that bad in my arm." And my dad was a detective for about 35 years, and so he was in law, like law enforcement. And he was like, "Don't get used to that feeling of needles in your arm." And I was like, "Oh no, it doesn't feel that good." And so, um, let me see. Before I go next, I'm going to answer some more questions. Um, let's see. I already answered Luke's question. Um, who is better, Batman or Superman? Batman, hands down. I'm a huge Superman fan, but Batman is always going to beat Superman in my opinion. Um, all right, let's see. What is my favorite comedy film? Doctor Strangelove. My favorite. I'll just name a few. Doctor Strangelove is my favorite comedy film, but I guess a more goofier comedy. Um, One that I could watch repeatedly would probably be The Odd Couple with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. I could watch that movie all the time. I love it. So that's definitely my favorite one after that. And I love Frank Capra's like early comedies, like Can't Take It With You, Can't Take That With You, or Can't Take It With You, and like It Happened One Night, like those early films. And yeah, I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. You know, people could hate on me about that, but I love all Adam Sandler movies, even all of his latest ones. I just find them awesome or hilarious and just stupid. So, um, so I'm a big comedy guy. All right. Number 13. No, number 12. I'm told I'm an exact split of my parents. I look exactly like both of my parents. If you saw me a picture of me and my dad next to each other, you'd think we're twins, except my dad's bald. I have hair. Um, um, but when you see a picture of me and my mom together, people think, we look exactly alike. Um, I have the temper and the sense of humor of my dad, which is um, I can get mad really easily about stupid things, and I used to have a really bad temper. And people that know me personally know that I get really mad easily. Um, Not like terrible, but let me see. Um, and then my mom. I have the heart of my mom. Um, she's probably one of the most selfless women or people I've ever, ever met. Or known. She is a very strong woman, kind-hearted, and she likes to talk a lot about movies. She's the reason why I love film. She got me into film at an early age. The Godfather and is both of our favorite films, and she watches every film that I have. There's nothing more awesome than than your mom coming over and saying, "I want to borrow Once Upon a Time in America and Midnight Cowboy." That's awesome. And, you know, Once Upon a Time in America is now one of her favorite films. Um, so that's pretty cool. Somebody asked me what's my favorite Hitchcock film. Rear Window and Vertigo tied. Um, yeah, huge Hitchcock fan. Um, Pretty much own every Hitchcock film except for some of the lost ones. I own all of them other than that. Um, but in terms of my parents, usually when I'm doing something bad, that's when I'm more like my dad, even though my dad's not a terrible guy. But that's usually when the more my dad part comes out of me. Um, but most of the time, I'm like my mom. Um, Goofy, kind-hearted. I never put myself first. I'm not selfish at all. Um, and because I like to talk a lot, everybody who knows me personally, they joke around about how I like to talk a lot. Sometimes I just sing about everything, blah blah blah, just do whatever. My mom is the exact same way, and usually after an extended period of time of hanging out with my mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a headache. She does not stop talking. Oh my gosh. I look at my wife and I'm like, now I know how you feel. I mean, we just have like one of those um, funny moments. Um, Luke asked me if I could be with any woman from a film, who would it be? Not Kate Beckinsale. Luke, why are you asking me these questions? Because I like her and I like bitches. I'm just joking. Um, I'm not going to answer that question. I don't feel right answering that question. It's always my wife all the way. Um, so number 13 is I have three brothers and two sisters. Um, Two brothers are actually full blood brothers, and I have one stepbrother. I have one sister and one stepsister. So basically, it is I'm one of six, even though I'm technically one of four, but there's six of us. And my stepbrother is actually the younger. He's a few months younger than me. But out of the four that my parents had together, I'm the youngest. So I'm the baby, which means I got everything I wanted when I was a kid. Ryan, you just said you weren't selfish. Come on, I was selfish when I was a kid. Every kid has tantrums. I remember being in Target and walking by the VHS and holding up Power Rangers, the movie, going, Mom, Mom. And I cried until I got it because she always bought me what I wanted when I had a tantrum. Number 14, I have been an uncle since I was 5. My older sister, she's about maybe like 16 years older than me. She had a child, and I was 5 when he was born. And I'm actually a great uncle too, because of the fact that my niece, which was my sister, has 2 kids. My older brother has 4 kids, and my sister's daughter had a kid. So I'm a great uncle. Whoa. Um, yeah. Number 15, which is something I already talked about. I haven't smoked cigarettes or used any drugs for 10 years. Whoa! For over 10 years. Um, I credit my wife and my faith in saving my life 10 years ago. Um, Heading down a bad road, met my wife. She is a complete inspiration to me, a complete angel, and she is just my everything, my everything. Um, yeah, I could pretty much just start crying anytime I talk about my wife like this because that's how much she means to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Um, in line with my OCD stuff I mentioned before, 17, I actually suffer from anxiety and panic disorder. Panic attacks where pretty much randomly during the day my body will just start sending out rushes of adrenaline, and I start going into panic. And usually it's for no reason at all, and it's fine because I have medicine for it, that emergency kind of medicine, that if I'm actually having a difficult one. Um, it's really always in line with my OCD stuff because I get really panicky, and yeah, so I've dealt with that, and that's when I was going to mention what movie changed my life. Um, for a long time, I've dealt with depression my whole life, but for a long time I was misdiagnosed bipolar, and I was on medicine and stuff for it, when it was in reality um, part of my OCD was not being addressed. But at the time, it was when Silver Linings Playbook came out, and the movie completely inspired me to finally get help again. And I went back and started getting help, and I completely changed my positive outlook on life, or my negative output into a positive outlook, and my faith was stronger, and my life just changed again. And this was about a year and a half ago when I had that kind of reboot, and it's been amazing since. But I still suffer with anxiety and panic. In fact, last night I had a little panic attack last night, but it's okay. I could have it, and you don't really know I'm having it because I'm just so used to it. And so when I could go like one, I have like we'll have like one a week, and if I'm dealing with a lot of stress in my life, I'll have like a couple a day. But it's all it's all you know stuff I can handle at this point. So somebody asked me, what is my opinion of the Giver trailer? I actually have not seen it. I read the book when I was a kid, and so I'm trying not to watch any trailer for it because I just want to see the movie with, fresh. Um, have I ever heard of Cowboy Mouth? They are a band from New Orleans. No, I have not. Um, Number 18. Through my old church I used to go to, I was actually had the opportunity to go into prisons in my state and actually mentor guys who were, um, you know, offenders when it came to like drugs and stuff like that. And I didn't go in there and like start preaching the Bible and stuff to them. It was mentoring. So I would go in there and just listen to these guys talk about their daily struggles and stuff and help them out, give them encouraging words. And some of the relationships with people that I built in there that have since been released were just amazing. I mean, these guys were bearing their souls to me, and it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. And I did it for about 2 years, and I still have my certification and all that stuff to do it. But I think that cup, passed because I realized that, maybe it was time to stop because it's far away. It's hours away to get there, and it was just, it just was not feasible anymore. And so, and plus the politics within the prison, the politics within the prison started changing, and not like political, like belief politics, but just the different leadership started changing and stuff like that, and it was just getting difficult. So I just figured it was better to stop. Number 19, which is my last one. I drink over a gallon and a half of water a day. Part of my anxiety and stuff is that I actually cannot do anything without having a glass of water next to me. It's weird. It's one of my quirks. So usually I have a big glass like this next to me all the time, and I drink about a gallon and a half of water a day. People have always joked around with me because like I always have a drink whenever I show up at people's houses. I have a huge bottle of water. Yeah. So, and it's almost sometimes my kitchen almost starts looking like the girl from Signs has all the cups of water everywhere. So I finish all my drink except for like the last few centimeters because I'm crazy OCD, so I don't like the germs. I'm just weird like that. So I always leave the bottom. So like my sink will just have a bunch of glasses in it that are like have a couple centimeters of stuff filled. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully I didn't scare you off. Like I said, it's my life, and you guys watch me for me, and you enjoy everything that I enjoy. And I love that I could share my passions with my audience and also share some of the experiences I've had. And hopefully, me sharing that, hopefully if you're dealing with any kind of drugs or alcohol or any of that kind of stuff, you could always reach out to me. I could always try to help you. I just like trying to be an inspiration to others, and I always like to talk about my change in life and how awesome it is that I was able to have that breakthrough. I know people that have died who didn't have that breakthrough. And yeah, so if I can do anything to help you, just feel free to let me know, and I will gladly help you. Let me look over the questions things, if there's any last questions before I go. Nope. So thanks everybody for watching, and I hope I didn't scare you off again. Yeah. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video, and actually I'll be doing a weekly chat video. DVD Collector 1974 does the weekly chats. I have all the topics, but because of work, I haven't been able to do mine yet. I'm doing mine tomorrow, and for the next week or so, I'm actually taking a break from all the other series on my channel. Yes, it might be disappointing to some of you, but in the long run, you will see why in a couple weeks. There's a reason why. So I need all the time in the world to do this stuff, and plus my wife's birthday is coming up. I'm doing a couple video stuff for that, and like slideshow picture type stuff for the birthday party that we're having. So just very busy with work too. So but anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next mother trucking video.